If you're young enough, you likely only remember two Yankee managers in your entire lifetime, Joe Girardi and Aaron Boone. But even more likely, you've also probably heard their names being trashed by some Italian guy on New York sports radio before.
Everything, absolutely everything is wrong with the New York Yankees. The problem is the manager. Aaron Boone is not the right fit for the Yankees.
But there was a man before both of them who Yankee fans loved, and his name was Joe Torre. Hired back in 1996 as the New York Yankees manager, Torre won a World Series in just his first season with the team. Then, after losing to Cleveland in the 1997 ALDS, the New York Yankees, led by Joe Torre, would do the unthinkable. They'd win again and again and again until they completed the fourth three-peat in baseball history, but the third in Yankees history. You see, a three-peat for any other team was historic. A three-peat meant a franchise was now forever ingrained in pop culture and American history forever. People who don't even know who Michael Jordan is know who the Bulls are. People who have never watched baseball a day in their life wear Yankees hats. Winning championships go a long way in making your team a worldwide brand. So when Torre won 4 championships in his first 5 seasons, people were obviously happy, but it was expected. The New York Yankees weren't just any other baseball team. They were the best team in baseball because they spent like it. Take for example the 2001 season. Only 2 teams in the American League had a payroll over $100 million. Of course, the New York Yankees, who had the highest payroll in baseball, but the other was the Boston Red Sox, who only started spending money recently because John Henry bought the team. You see, the Red Sox-Yankees rivalry was real and extremely historic, but it wasn't competitive. The Yankees won championships like it was nothing, but the Red Sox, they hadn't won a World Series in nearly a century. The Yankees might have dominated the Red Sox on the diamond and in free agency, but they also dominated them on the trade block. You see, the 2003 season was the most heated in decades because the Red Sox met the Yankees in the ALCS where they faced off in a Game 7. Going into the 8th inning, the game was all but locked up for Boston. They had a 5-2 lead, and prime Pedro Martinez had dealt a solid 7 innings. But then, manager Grady Little made a crucial mistake. He kept Pedro Martinez in for the bottom of the 8th inning, despite the fact he was well over 100 pitches. That inning, the Yankees scored 3 runs to tie the game and would eventually win it in the 11th on this historic Aaron Boone home run. Funny how a man can go from so loved to so hated in the span of 20 years. Anyways, I mention this because this was what reignited the rivalry between the Red Sox and the Yankees. And so far, the Yankees were leading in the rivalry. They were historically dominant. They could still beat the Red Sox whenever they wanted. And despite the fact they would go on to lose the World Series to the Marlins, they still stole Alex Rodriguez from the Red Sox. That's right. Going into the 2004 season, the Red Sox had a deal to acquire Alex Rodriguez while freeing up shortstop by trading Nomar Garciaparra to the White Sox. This was the Red Sox plan to overtake the Yankees in the American League. However, the trade was vetoed by the MLBPA due to Rodriguez taking a pay cut, and instead, the New York Yankees traded for him. And not only did they trade for the best shortstop in all of baseball, they stole him from their arch rival. Granted, he was no longer a shortstop and would play third base now with Jeter, but still, what an amazing win for the Pinstripes. Well, I hope Yankees fans enjoyed that offseason because that was the best it was going to get for a while. But during the 2004 ALCS, the Yankees rematched with the Red Sox, but the script entirely flipped. The Red Sox would outlast the Yankees in a famous 14-inning Game 5 at Fenway Park to force Game 6, which was, of course, the infamous bloody sock Curt Schilling game. After that, the Red Sox blew the Yankees out in Game 7 and would go on to win the World Series. But so what? The Red Sox won the World Series. Who cares? The Yankees still had 26 World Series titles and three-peated less than 5 years ago. They were still the team to beat in the American League, but then from 2005 to 2007, the Yankees couldn't get out of the ALDS. And to make matters worse, the Red Sox had won yet another World Series title in 2007. So the Yankees were in a really interesting spot. They had tons of talent on their team, and I mean tons. Derek Jeter, A-Rod, Jorge Posada, Robinson Cano, Hideki Matsui, Bobby Abreu, and the list goes on and on. These Yankees teams were filled to the brim with talent, but for some reason, they couldn't even make it to the championship series anymore. Meanwhile, their biggest rival had won 2 titles in 4 years. They were on the verge of potentially creating a dynasty, but that wasn't even rock bottom just yet. You see, after 2007, Joe Torre would step down after being offered what he considered a lowball offer to return to the Yankees as their manager. A one-year deal consisting mostly of incentives. Isn't that interesting though? This guy had won the Yankees 4 world titles, never finished with a losing record, finished with under 90 wins just once, and had won 10 division titles, and they still were kicking him out of the door after just 3 ALDS losses. Why? Because George Steinbrenner demanded perfection. That's how he won dozens of championships after all. But before it all ended, he would see perfection just one more time. After Joe Torre left the Yankees before the 2008 season, the team hired Joe Girardi in his place. In many ways, Girardi was a polar opposite of Torre. Girardi was just 43 when he was hired, and he was a rookie manager, while Torre was a grizzled veteran who had already managed 3 different teams over the course of 15 seasons. For reference, in 1977, Torre was literally a player manager for the Mets, hitting 176 and 1 home run while also leading them to a 64-98 record. The Yankees had completely switched up the manager, and at first, the results weren't promising. In 2008, they finished with 89 wins, which is actually pretty solid, but the American League that year was extremely crowded, and as a result, they missed the playoffs. So what did the Yankees do in response? Well, they did exactly what they always do when they want to win: spend money. That offseason, they signed CC Sabathia, AJ Burnett, and Mark Teixeira to contracts exceeding a combined $400 million. If you weren't watching baseball 16 years ago, the equivalent would be what the Dodgers are doing right now. So in the 2009 season, when the Yankees won 103 games while losing just 4 games in the entirety of the playoffs en route to a 27th world title, people weren't shocked. The New York Yankees had made history. They had won their 27th world championship, and for the final time, George Steinbrenner saw perfection, and he wanted to see it again in 2010. That offseason, he traded for Curtis Granderson, and by the end of June, things were looking good. The Yankees were in first place in the AL East, were 17 games over 500, and were tied for the best record in Major League Baseball. Unfortunately though, less than a month later, team owner George Steinbrenner would pass away at the age of 80, marking the end to the best tenure of ownership in sports history. Steinbrenner oversaw the New York Yankees not only win 7 championships and 11 AL pennants, he also made them the biggest sports team on the planet. I mean, seriously, when people in China or Thailand or Australia are wearing your hat and they don't even know what the logo represents, you have to be doing something right. Unfortunately though, after that, things somehow got worse. In 2010, the team regressed, winning 8 less games and losing in the ALCS. In fact, from 2010 to 2017, that's pretty much all that happened. I mean, seriously, these teams had so much talent, but under Girardi, they'd either miss the playoffs, lose in the ALDS, ALCS, or AL wildcard, and then repeat it season after season. Meanwhile, over in Boston, the city they used to make fun of, they were making history. In 2013, the team won yet another World Series, and they were producing stars like David Ortiz, Mookie Betts, Jacoby Ellsbury, Dustin Pedroia. It was actually insane. Yankees fans were left wondering, how did a team that was struggling to win games 20 years ago create an absolute dynasty? After all, this was supposed to be the Yankees instead. They had endless cash, tons of talent, historic tradition, championship pedigree, and the largest market in America. This was supposed to be their success. Now, general manager Brian Cashman seemingly came to this conclusion in 2017 as well.
Breaking news, Joe Girardi.
Gone. Yeah.
Ball game.
After a heartbreaking 2017 season, which saw Aaron Judge break out and turn into the best hitter in baseball, the Yankees had fired Joe Girardi. Want to know the worst part? He might have been just 1 win away from saving his job. And I say that because their season ended after a heartbreaking Game 7 loss to the Astros in the ALCS. Who knows what would have happened if the Yankees won that game? But you know what? It was fine. The Yankees were young, had the best hitter in baseball, had payroll flexibility, and for the first time in a long time, felt like they were on the verge of winning it all. So what better way to get over a Game 7 loss than bringing in the man who won the 2003 ALCS in Game 7 all by himself?
Big news from the baseball world last night. It looks like the Yankees may have found their new manager. According to multiple reports, the Yankees are set to hire Aaron Boone to fill their vacancy.
That's right, they hired the 2003 ALCS legend Aaron Boone himself. And honestly, things started off great. At least it seemed like it did at first. In Boone's first season with the Yankees, he won 100 games with the team. The first time the Yankees had crossed the triple-digit threshold since 2009. Aaron Judge had become a bona fide superstar. Didi Gregorius had the best season of his career, and Stanton had hit 38 jacks along with 100 RBIs. The Yankees that year were clearly the team to beat, until they weren't.
And the 2-0 to Martinez, pulls one deep left field. It is gone! It just sneaks over the monster! History. Fly ball right field. Vasquez sending Judge back. Got some carry, and this ball's going to bounce out. It's a home run for Vasquez.
The New York Yankees were eventually eliminated in the ALDS again by their rival Boston Red Sox, who eventually went on to win yet another World Series for the 4th time in 15 years. Even if the Yankees had a new manager, a new superstar, and spent money, they could not win a World Series, let alone make this series to begin with. 2019 was the same, except this time it was the Astros who beat the Yankees in the ALCS. That offseason, the Yankees knew they had to do something to remain competitive, so they gave Gerrit Cole a massive contract to become a member of the New York Yankees, a team he actually had grown up idolizing. But unfortunately, the 2020 season was anything but normal for the Yankees. As we all know, Major League Baseball played under a 60-game season that year, and in the ALDS, the Yankees would lose a 5-game set to the Tampa Bay Rays. Honestly though, I am going to give the Yankees a pass on this season. This was just an extremely fluky and weird year. But what I won't give them a pass on is the 2021 campaign. I mean, that season, the Yankees won 92 games, Judge and Stanton combined for nearly 80 home runs, and Gerrit Cole was one of the best pitchers in all of baseball. So tell me, how did they get destroyed by the Boston Red Sox in the wild card game that season? Well, they gave up 2 runs in the first, another in the third, and waited until the 6th inning to score a single run. By the end of the game, the Red Sox had as many runs as the Yankees had hits. This would have been the breaking point for so many prior Yankees managers. Losing in the wild card round to the Boston freaking Red Sox? Are you kidding me? But no, for some reason, the Yankees stuck with Aaron Boone for 2022, and it resulted in one of the biggest heartbreaks of all time. On the surface, this was a great year for the Yanks. Aaron Judge had a historic season, putting up nearly 11 WAR and socking an AL record 62 home runs. On the bump, Cole was still great, just not as dominant as he was in years prior. And behind Judge's 62 long balls, the Yankees won 99 games and their division on the way to an ALCS appearance. But there was just one problem. Since Aaron Boone was hired, 2 particular teams have given the Yankees a lot of trouble. The first being the Boston Red Sox, of course, but the second was the Houston Astros. In the 2022 ALCS, the Astros absolutely obliterated the Yankees. At least it seemed like it. The Astros would sweep the Yankees in the ALCS, but each game was actually closer than it looked. Game 1 was a 2-run game, games 2 and 4 were 1-run games, and honestly, if it wasn't for this Alex Bregman 3-run shot in game 2, this series might have been completely different.
And puts one deep to left. It is back, and it is gone. A 3-run poke.
But who cares about what ifs? Because 2022 won't just go down as a failure, it'll go down as a waste of one of the best individual offensive seasons of all time. As a punishment, the 2023 Yankees were sentenced to missing the playoffs for the first time since 2016. In fact, their 82 wins marked the lowest in club history since 1995. A variety of terrible play, bad injury luck, and terrible managerial decisions were the cause for this mess of a season. Aaron Boone wasn't good this season, don't get me wrong, but if you asked Yankee fans, he was the sole reason why the Yankees were bad. So when both Brian Cashman and Aaron Boone were still employed going into the 2024 season, why were Yankees fans excited? Oh, well, yeah, it's because the Yankees also did this.
After hours of being on hold, a deal between the Yankees and Padres finally got done for Juan Soto.
That's right, the Yankees finally went old school and traded a haul for future Hall of Famer Juan Soto. Think about when the Yankees did this with Alex Rodriguez 20 years ago. This was old school Yankees baseball. Screw the prospects and depth, get superstars. Now, instead of Aaron Judge carrying the lineup, he'd have a generational hitter to hit behind him. This unlocked the offense in New York, and Judge and Soto both went on to have career years. But more importantly, Gerrit Cole had finally done what was expected of him when he signed that massive deal back in 2019. He won the AL Cy Young award behind a 2.63 ERA and an AL leading 209 innings pitched. This was by far the best team the New York Yankees had assembled in the last 15 years. Since that 09 team, no other iteration had more talent than the 2025 roster. But at the same time, no other team had more heartbreak either. Now, the Yankees rolled through the American League, losing just 2 games combined against the Royals and Guardians in the ALDS and ALCS. But when they played the Dodgers in the World Series, it was like they hit a brick wall. The Yankees had dropped the first 3 games. Now, one of them, of course, was an absolute heartbreaker where Nestor Cortez led off a grand slam walk-off to Freddie Freeman.
Cortez delivers. Freeman hits the ball to right field. She is gone!
Hey man, you want some tequila or something?
Kidding me? I told you. Why would you put nasty Nestor Cortez in the game? After they did win Game 4 11-4, the Yankees were starting to build momentum, especially when entering the top of the 5th inning in Game 5 of the World Series, the Yankees held a 4-0 lead. But then the inning from absolute hell happened.
Point to be 3-2. With a heating up Judge, who settles under this ball, but then drops it. Can Hernandez get to the bag before the throw? He does. Here Cole throws. Ball left side. Volpe will go to third, and the third, and another break for LA. Ground ball right side. Rizzo. Nobody at first! Atrocious defense from the Yankees, leading directly to a Dodger run in the 5th.
The New York Yankees were practically begging the Los Angeles Dodgers to win the World Series. And when they did that night, completing the comeback 7-6. More importantly, this means the New York Yankees haven't won a World Series since 2009. Or in other words, 16 years. Meaning, if the Yankees don't win a World Series in the next 2 years, they'll match their longest World Series drought in franchise history. So that now all begs the question, what went wrong with the New York Yankees? In my opinion, the Yankees' downfall can be directly correlated with the death of George Steinbrenner. I know it might sound crazy, but just think about it. George gave Joe Torre, a 4-time champion with the Yankees, the same length of leash as what Hal Steinbrenner is giving Aaron Boone and gave Joe Girardi. Hal Steinbrenner is essentially settling for mediocrity where his father would have pushed to get better. I think losing Juan Soto in free agency actually encapsulates this perfectly. George would have never let this happen. He would have given any amount of money to Soto, even if it meant giving him a free suite or whatever. Losing that kind of talent after giving up the hole you gave up is insane. Listen, I know Yankee fans want to sit here and pretend like they're happy with having guys like Cody Bellinger and Paul Goldschmidt over Juan Soto, who, don't get me wrong, are excellent baseball players and are playing well for the Yankees. But let's be serious. You'd rather have the 26-year-old future Hall of Famer locked up over a solid player in their mid-30s. I honestly think what's wrong with the Yankees is systemic because Hal Steinbrenner doesn't want to fire Brian Cashman and is extremely reluctant to move on from his managers. Now, I also want to mention I do think Brian Cashman is a solid general manager. That Jazz Chisholm trade from last year has turned out to be pretty solid. But the Yankees shouldn't settle for solid. They're the goddamn New York Yankees. They need the best. This is the sort of franchise that always had the best players, the best managers, scouts, coaches, executives, everything. They can't just settle for good enough or pretty good now. But the issue is that they are, because Hal Steinbrenner is settling for mediocrity. He's okay if the Yankees make the playoffs but lose in the ALDS. He's okay with the Yankees if they miss the playoffs but Aaron Judge has 50 home runs. He's okay with the Yankees if the Red Sox outperform them in every playoff winning stat since the turn of the century. That is the problem with the Yankees, and it won't change until Hal Steinbrenner changes. Even now, look at the Yankees. They're a solid enough team to make the playoffs, but the Rays are surging. The Red Sox are the hottest team in baseball, and the Toronto Blue Jays currently lead the division. They lost Juan Soto and Garrett Cole. Are we sure this is a team that can compete in October? Especially when Aaron Judge, the team's best hitter, is known for shrinking in big moments. Now, I don't want to just put all the blame on Hal Steinbrenner and Brian Cashman. Aaron Boone has not been a great coach when it comes to managerial decisions. There have been countless times that he's brought in a pitcher or taken out a pitcher when he definitely should have let things be. Personally, I'm not so sure where all of the blame lies, but it's definitely fair to say it's a combination of a bit on everyone. But who knows, maybe you disagree with me. Do you think the Yankees are being run perfectly fine and they're just under a microscope because they're the Yankees? Or do you think the Yankees need to fire Aaron Boone and Brian Cashman and start from scratch? Let me know down in the comments below, but more importantly, what do you think it'll take to see the New York Yankees win number 28? That's all for today, guys. If you haven't already, remember, like and subscribe, turn on those notifications to be added to the giveaway, and I'll see you guys on the next one.